Hello and welcome to the very first video on the AEW Match Guide Podcast YouTube channel. I'm very excited to get this started. Of course, I am launching a podcast, the AEW Match Guide Podcast, on November 12th. And it will be able to be streamed on all of the podcast apps that you can find out there, and also this YouTube channel. And right now you can find a trailer for it, so you can subscribe now so you don't miss it when it drops on November 12th. And at the end of today's video, I will be announcing the first match that will be reviewed for the AEW Match Guide podcast. So I'm very excited to do that and very excited to get that announced. But for today, I thought a fun activity to get things started on this channel would be to do a tier ranking of all of the AEW roster. So I have got here a list from the AEW website of all of their current roster. I did take a couple of guys out. There are some funny people on there that aren't exactly what I would call active, so I've got rid of those guys, but I thought we would go through these guys at random and put them into a tier list. Of course, S tier being the highest for the absolute alphas of the bunch, all the way down A, B, C, and D tier. No F tier because there's no failures on the AEW roster. Let's face it. So I've got a lot of people to rank. There's over 100 people, so I need to make fast work of it, or we're all going to be here all night. But let's get started. I'll find the guy, the undisputed S tier for me, of course, Mr. Jon Moxley, straight up into S tier. You won't find many bigger Jon Moxley fans than me, and I can't wait to dive into some of these matches in the AEW Match Guide podcast and talk about why. But of course, undisputed S tier. I think he, as much as anyone in the company, managed to carry them through the COVID era. They did a fantastic job of not losing significant traction. They, of course, didn't build a whole lot. They didn't manage to increase their ratings until after full crowds came back, and an increase, hype or interest all that much, but I think they managed to maintain their audience in such a fantastic way, and Jon Moxley was a big part of that as the champion at the time, just being the absolute undisputed great guy that you want to sit down and have a beer with, a fantastic champion. Every time he had a championship match, he delivered in spades, and he saved a number of dynamites. I feel like he saved the all-out card in 2020. He landed a plane alongside MJF that was looking like it was careering out of control at different points, but he managed to land that safely. Undisputed S tier for me, no arguments, and straight away I'm going to move up into the S tier, the original, the founders, the EVPs of the Elite. That is Kenny Omega, Cody Rhodes, and Matt and Nick Jackson when I can find them. This is in alphabetical order by first name. Where are we? Matt Jackson here, and Nick Jackson here. Look, I love them or hate them, or perhaps not be so on board with them at the moment in the case of Cody Rhodes. Without those four guys, there is no way this company would be happening, and I think no one can argue that S tier for those guys. They not only deliver in the ring in most cases, but also have a lot to do with things behind the scenes. And as I said, we just would not have a company without them. And let's straight away as well, I'm just going to do another S tier before we get into maybe some murkier territory. I'll be starting to pick at random shortly. But before we do that, I'm just going to move Mr. Brodie Lee Jr. into S tier as well. Look, if you've got problems with that, then I don't think this podcast is for you. I think you can unfollow me on Twitter. I don't think I want to be a friend with you. He is once and forever in S tier. So, what more can I say? Mr. Brodie Lee Jr. straight to S tier. But let's get started with some other ones that there might be a little bit more debate around. And I think a good place to start, an interesting place to start, might be, I'm going to pick, let's go the women's champion, Britt Baker. Now, I'm torn with this one. There is an argument that she should be S tier. There is an argument that she would be A tier. She didn't deliver at first, of course. She was, and I promise I won't take this long on all of the picks. There's somewhere I'll just pop the vid and go, because as I said, I don't want to be here all night. She didn't exactly light the world on fire in her initial appearances for the company, and sort of really struggled as a face, but once she changed to a heel, just was fantastic. Look, I'm pretty certain I'll settle on S tier for her. She has delivered in spades since she turned heel. I think since the match she had with Hikaru Shida in the gym in particular, she's delivered in the ring to varying degrees at different points, but she is now the cornerstone that this women's division is being built around, that is improving all the time at the moment as well, I might add. So she will go into S tier. We need to put some people in different tiers, I think. Let's go Joey Janella. This is one that sticks out to me interestingly, because this is a guy who I think we all thought might be a bigger part of this company. He played a much bigger role when they first launched. He had a very big matches with Mox and Omega, and he was featured in different programs on Dynamite. But man, I cannot remember the last time I saw him on Dynamite or Rampage. I think for the early output, I'm going to have to give him some credit for that, but because lately what have you done for me lately? I am worried that AEW has somewhat passed him by, so I think I'll settle into C tier. Early on, he would be definitely in the B tier, that sort of mid-card level where he was really playing around, but C tier for him. Let's go with Anthony Ogogo. So he's only had a couple of matches. Tremendous potential. He really gave Cody a good run for his money. I'm going to put him in B tier. A lot of potential. He could go into A tier if he had more focus on him. Injury. He's been injured. He's only really had one match. I'm going to keep him in B tier just for potential alone. Brian Cage. Here's an interesting one. Lot came in very hot. Really lit the world on fire early, but turning face, he's not that natural as a face, and he has not connected with the crowd in the way you'd hope. I think I'm gonna have to go C tier for him, unfortunately. Yeah, I think I'm comfortable putting him in C tier. I mean, he's the kind of guy who could definitely go higher very quickly, but if things were right, but they're just not connecting at the moment, and I don't think they've really connected for quite a while, so he will be in C tier. Let's Jungle Boy. He's someone that sticks out for me. I think I'm going to have to put him in A tier. You could argue maybe B tier, but man, he is one of the future of the company. I think, you know what, I'm going to right away, I'm going to get the four pillars, as they've talked about. Jungle Boy, Darby Allin, wherever he is, the four pillars, the future of the company. Darby Allin. We've got MJF, who is here. Could I put him in S tier? I don't think yet. There's particularly Darby Allin and MJF, I think really are pushing towards that S tier, that real tippy top of the company. Darby Allin, particularly at the start of this year, these guys are heading upwards. They will be in this tier at some point, but these four pillars here, the future of the company, they've publicly announced. I really like that. It's ambitious to do that. We'll see how it plays out for them, but yeah, I'm very high on those four, as the company is, as everyone is, and I think they all lock into A tier very well. They've all delivered in spades, all have immense potential for the company, so very happy with that. Let's grab Eddie Kingston. He had an absolute banger today with Daniel Bryan. Really, like his entrance, he came in with an absolute rage in his belly, lit the world on fire, and was absolutely undeniable. Man, personal taste, he would be an S tier for me. Just his personal taste, incredible, incredible match against Mox, and then also the tag match that he had with Mox against the Young Bucks. But I don't think I can put him in S tier really. I mean, he's not like on that level of, in terms of a drawing card or a central figure. He is someone that I but he's definitely above the B, C, and D tier, and we saw that today when he had his match with Bryan Danielson. No one who's delivered on the level that he has could be anything in B, C, or D tier. So he's going to fit A tier for me. Let's go Brian Pillman Jr. Another one, sort of. He's really come along a lot lately. I did not have a lot of thought. I'm kind of in between B and C tier for him. I think I'm going to go with C tier. He really had a great program with MJF, but he's got a long way to go. And I think you saw that in the singles match they had. He could go a long way, but right now C tier for him. Thanks. Let's go with Max Caster. Okay, here is someone who has courted headlines. He's been in some high-profile programs, and I'll also lump Anthony Bowens with him. I'll bring him up with tag teams. I'll just bring them up together unless there's significant times they've been apart. But the Acclaim, they hit sometimes, but not all the time. I think particularly Bowens has got a lot of potential in the ring. Max Caster has a gimmick that connects with the crowd well, but I'm going to leave them in C tier for the moment. They're kind of on the bridge of being in B tier for me. If you'd asked me 6 months ago, I probably would have had them in B tier, but particularly with the controversy, some of the stuff he has, they've gone off the boil a little bit. They're sort of bubbling away there on the dark and elevation. They'll probably come back at some point, and they could be a focus for the tag team division in the future. But for the moment, I'm looking at C tier. Let's put one of the women up. You know what? I'm going to do my first D tier. The Bunny. Sorry, Bunny. I really tire of her partnership with Penelope Ford. They had a really monotonous, boring program with Anna Jay and Tay Conti. I just don't see it with the Bunny. She's one of the people actually who I think could really benefit from going overseas once the world opens up again, and just getting some reps in with some real top workers to just maybe broaden her horizons a little bit. She's been in the American scene for quite a while in different promotions. I think she needs to be something more diverse. Definitely puts in the work, of course, and she's got a character that she's worked out, but it doesn't connect for me. It's very monotonous and not interesting at all. So she's my first D tier. Sorry, Bunny. Let's go. Brendan Cutler. This is there's an argument that he could be S tier. The amount of work that he does for BTE alone, and probably the top jobber in the company. I don't think he's definitely the most hilarious jobber. I don't think I could put him in S tier or even A tier, to be honest. I think I'm going to go B tier, but I love him. B for Brandon. Just hilarious work. I love every time he is on screen. He does something that really pops me. Okay. Luchasaurus. I think that's another B tier straight away. That just feels right for me. B tier for Luchasaurus. Oh, who just caught my eye? CM Punk. Okay. This is going to be an interesting one. Where do I put him? He's definitely either S or A tier. I think because the return got so much attention, he hasn't delivered at the level of any of the other guys here yet in the ring, in a story. But the level of attention his return got, the level of star he is, I'm gonna put him in C tier. But Punk, I'm looking forward to seeing more from Punk. We know he's got it in him, and I think the first thing we saw was that fantastic confrontation he had with Eddie Kingston. I hope more comes of that. In S tier, rightfully so, I think. And while we're talking about them, Danielson straight into S tier. That is a guy who has come in foot flat to the floor on the gas, absolutely pumping it. Straight into S tier for me, and the other guy who got the company so much attention, and you know what? Let's bring the third guy into it, and this is going to be controversial to some. He is A tier for me. He hasn't hit the ground right. He's not the name that Punk is, and hasn't had quite the output that Danielson's had yet. So, look, he will be S tier at some point, but not right now. Sitting in A tier. Adam Cole, baby. Okay, let's pick someone who's less known. I've gone right off the bat with a lot of well-known ones. Serpentico, sorry mate, D tier. Where's Luther while we're at it? if there was one person for F tier, it would be Luther. That's QT Marshall. I'm going to go C tier because of the coaching work he does as an on-screen guy. Pass on that, please. As a focused person, I hope they're moving away from him. Okay. We've got Riho. This is A or B tier. Where do we put her? Inaugural champion. There's definitely an argument for A tier. Was really hampered by COVID. You know what? I'm going to have to go, just because she hasn't, she's going to go B tier for the moment. Definitely could go higher. But, yeah. Definitely could go higher for sure. But that's B tier. Let's put another woman, Big Swole, C tier. So much charisma. I am a big fan of Big Swole. I think she could benefit immensely from going over to a company like a Stardom, a Tokyo Joshi Pro, one of the Joshi promotions, essentially, to broaden her horizons, because she has so much charisma. More charisma than just about anyone in the women's division, and she connects with the crowd straight away, connects with the camera through to the people watching on TV. But her in-ring output is just kind of sloppy, to be honest, and it lacks any impact when she's meant to be a hard hitter and a strong, someone who's strong. Going to one of those promotions where they do lay into things a little bit harder, where you're wrestling 3-4 times a week. That's what she needs. If they can get her over to one of those Joshi promotions for 3 months, even just a tour, I'd want more, to be honest. She would come back so much better, so immensely benefiting from it. Let's go Private Party. These guys promise so much early on. Isaiah Quinn, Isaiah Kennedy, and Quinn. Where is he? These guys had so much more promise than what they've delivered so far. Early on looked like they were going to be the hot new thing, but they kind of just didn't push on in the way you'd hope, and I don't think being involved with Matt Hardy, which, by the way, where's Matt Hardy? I don't think being involved with Matt Hardy has helped them at all. I don't think anyone right now is really benefiting from being involved with Matt Hardy. Where is Matt Hardy? There he is. D tier. And look, here's the reason why. Matt Hardy, legend, of course. But I don't think he's... I don't know anyone who watches because Matt Hardy's involved. And I don't know what kind of positive effect... I don't see the positive effect he's having. He's had a good match with Christian. He's had some good matches. I think Sammy Guevara was hurt from working with him in the end. As I said, Private Party have been dragged down ultimately from working with him. The ever-expanding Hardy family office just seemed to encompass all of these low-level job teams that, low-card teams, the mid-card teams, that they don't seem to have anything in common with each other, but somehow they're under Matt Hardy. That's a D tier for me. Frankie Kazarian, B tier, solid. Solid worker, solid hand. If you looked up solid hand in the dictionary, there would be a picture of Frankie Kazarian. I do wish they'd done more with the Bullet Club Hunter, but it didn't happen, sadly, so B tier it is for me. But it just, solid as a rock. Where are we? Let's go Nick Comoroto, C tier. I love his look. He could be... he doesn't do a lot. He doesn't do a lot for me, honestly, but I love his look. He's just he's a bear of a man. So he can go to C tier just because of his look alone. Jake Hager. He just popped out to me. I think that's another B tier. Definitely not the Lex Luger moment when he was unveiled as the surprise for the first Dynamite. But you know what? he has definitely met expectations, if not slightly surpassed them. And my expectations weren't high, but he's a B tier. I think he has actually found a good persona in AEW. Just this guy who just cannot chew and talk at the same time. Chew and walk at the same time. Okay, let's get another person. Hikaru Shida. Okay, this is interesting. The longest tenured woman on the brand, women's champion. Arguably, did the sort of thing Mox did, but in the women's division, but was left off TV for like 6 months. Not her fault, but, we're ranking them, so it's got to go in that. She's come back with a storm, with a vengeance against Serena Deeb. I'm a big Hikaru Shida fan. I want... You know what? I'm going to put her in S tier, because she was the glue that held... If I don't know what would have happened if she wasn't around last year. For the women's division was not great last year, but my God, I do not want to even think about the absolute dumpster fire it would have been if Hikaru Shida hadn't been there as a steadying hand, as a go-to, as someone who was just the glue, that the person with all of the strings, like holding things together as people were stuck overseas, as half the roster got injured. At one point, I think I counted that they had 4 active women, and somehow she was making it work. So she can go in S tier. And while we're talking about the likes of Hikaru Shida, this is someone who I am immensely high on, Serena Deeb. That has been one of the best signings they've had for their women's division. It's possibly the best signing they've had for the women's division, aside from Britt Baker. Absolute A tier. She is going to do fantastic things as both a veteran who can help the other women, but also just in her own way, doing her own stories. She is going to be a fantastic person to have around going forward. Ethan Page. Let's put him somewhere. C or B. This is what I'm torn between. I think we have to go B tier for Ethan Page. You wouldn't say he's lit the world alight, but he's been some very good rivalries with Darby Allin, now with, alongside Scorpio Sky, this Men of the Year gimmick with American Top Team and Dan Lambert. Every time he gets in the ring, he delivers in the way you want, so B tier for him. Chuck Taylor, let's put the best friends in. Chuck Taylor, Trent Beretta. They are solid B tier. You could argue, given how they not Trent Beretta, Trent. Where's Trent? There we go. Trent ? You could argue that they could be higher given how good the parking lot fight was against Proud and Powerful. But I think for the minute, B tier for them. Same with while I mentioned Proud and Powerful, Santana and Ortiz. These guys should go higher. These guys should definitely go higher at some point. I'm hoping they get a run with the championship. They've sort of teased a rivalry with the Lucha Bros. So definitely could go higher. All 4 of them, of course, had that amazing match, which is one of the matches that we'll be doing in the AEW Match Guide podcast early on. I think that's going to be like the 9th or 10th podcast we do. We'll be talking about that parking lot fight. Amazing match. I cannot wait to dive deeply into it. But look, I'm going to go B tier because they've had periods of inactivity, long-term feuds that didn't quite hit. Like I'd say the FTR feud with Santana and Ortiz sort of just didn't hit the way that we thought it would. It kind of did, but didn't. And same with like Chuck and Trent. This rivalry originally, of course, the parking lot fight was incredible, but the lead up to that was like, I don't know, it felt like water, like way too drawn out, it was not good. And same with the Kip Sabian and Miro thing for Chuck Taylor and Trent, like that. It was just, took way too long to get to the point it wanted to get to. So let's look at, let's do some Dark Order. Alan Angels. I'd like to put him in C tier. I think I'm just going to have to put him in D tier because he just hasn't done much, unfortunately. You know, I think the company has plans for him down the line at some point, and he's funny on Sammy's vlog, but for the minute he's going to have to be D tier. Who else have we got in the Dark Order? Evil Uno. It's going to go C tier for me. Stu Grayson, the same. You know, could be spectacular, could be more, but, you know, where they are at the moment, I think that's fair. John Silver is the... Preston Vance will put... no, he just hasn't done much. He's won a lot on Dark, but... I don't know, watching Dark and Rampage... Watching Dark and Elevation, I that's not something that's going to set the world alight, so to speak. Where's John Silver? Where's my boy John Silver? I'm going to put him into B tier, because if they've had a breakout star, it's been John Silver. And never was that more true than in the two big tag team matches they had against the Elite, where he, you know, everyone got their spot, but John Silver was the one that really popped the crowd. And Alex Reynolds, I'm going to put in C tier as well. I feel like those two have done enough things separate that to separate one another, that they can be separated, even though they're traditionally a tag team. Have we got any other Dark Order that I've missed? I don't think so. I think I've got everyone. I mean, you're probably looking at the screen, right, being like, Sam, how did you miss Anna Jay? How did you miss Anna Jay? Man, that's someone who could be an S tier for all we know. She's had like 10 matches in her whole career and has picked up what she needs to so quickly. But for now, you'd be hard-pressed to argue more than that. Let's do some quick hitters. Leva Bates, D tier. Where's Peter Avalon? I mean, Peter Avalon's pretty funny, but yeah, you're not going to... The librarians, you're not going to... No one's going to ride for them too much. Let's also... Oh, no, Rebel's funny. You know what? Rebel is funny. She could be a lot more offensive and worse in the things that she does. So she can stick in C tier there. Layla Hirsch. I like Layla Hirsch. There's an argument for her to be in B tier, right? I don't think I can do that. I don't think I can justify that. She's going to have to be C tier. Oh man, I'm struggling now. You know what? I'm gonna think more about Layla Hirsch. Abaddon, like, interesting character, presented well early, but you know, I mean, we all saw the match. We've all seen the matches. Ruby Soho. Okay, A tier or B tier? This is a tough one for me. Came in with a lot of fanfare, won that thing. First program with Britt Baker was really good. I even thought, give her the strap. I've set a pretty high bar for A tier and S tier, so I'm gonna stick her there. She is close. I'm just gonna put her in the top tier here of the B tier because I feel like she is pushing like Riho, right? Actually, they're two very... Those two are like the two that are closest to going up to the A tier. But I can't justify putting them up there. Let's try and find someone else for S tier, right? You know, Lucha Bros. Okay. Lucha Bros. Are they S tier? They set off the tag team division. They set, along with the Young Bucks... That's another match that is going to be early on in the run for the AEW Match Guide podcast. The Young Bucks versus the Lucha Bros from Double or Nothing 2019, the first pay-per-view. That's going to be one of the early matches we look at. They set the standard. They set the bar. They did have periods where they weren't as active together as a team. But look, I can't look at the match they had against that cage match they had against the Young Bucks, the ladder match they had against the Young Bucks, the Double or Nothing match they had against the Young Bucks. For those three alone, and the fact they're champions, I think they need to go in S tier. I'm on the fence with those guys. More on the fence with those than even Hikaru Shida. You know what? I don't think I can put them in S tier. They give them the end of this championship reign, they could be in S tier. I'm just looking at like having Darby Allin in A tier. I would rank them alongside Darby Allin. Pushing, not there. Okay. Let's keep going. We're getting through them. Emi Sakura. Ooh, that's a tough one. Which one, B or C? B. Every time she has been in the ring, she's delivered. Hasn't had as many opportunities as some because, various reasons. But she is absolutely smashed it at different points. FTR. Okay, I just saw Cash Wheeler. FTR. I'm comfortable putting them in A tier, even though I put Santana and Ortiz in B tier. Ooh, that's an interesting comparison. Where's Daxy boy? Where's Dax? No, you know what? The thing that for me sets those two apart is one match. They have by far had the better singles match. Even though, Rey Fenix has had some incredible... No, I'm not comparing to Lucha Bros. Santana Ortiz have not had the kind of level of singles match that Dax Harwood had against Jungle Boy. The 4-man match where it was Kenny and Hangman and the Bucks versus Phoenix, Penta, and FTR. You might notice, against tag teams, everyone has their best match against the Young Bucks. Just about. Like, going against the Young Bucks is a cheat code because they're so good. I'm comfortable having them in A tier. Particularly, they generate a lot of interest. Their match against the Bucks was incredible. Yeah, I'm comfortable putting them in A tier. They're more like... They're sort of on... If I put Serena Deeb in A... No, Serena Deeb is mint. They're sort of ones I'm more on the edge, so to speak, than anyone else. Aaron Solo. I saw Aaron Solo at a New Japan show in Australia once. I think he wrestled like Rocky Romero. Anyway, in AEW, he's done barely anything. Great potential. And Helico, C tier. Where's his buddy Jack Evans? For dancing, and Helico would be at S tier for sure. For dancing, but this isn't a dancing contest. It's not dancing. Michael Nakazawa. He is hilarious. He is hilarious, but he is also pretty useless. I'm going to leave him C tier. He's not the level of Brandon Cutler in terms of like just mint comedy, and he hasn't done like Cutler did that incredible thing against. I'm now second guessing putting Peter Avalon in D tier because of his program with Cutler. No, the library gimmick stinked. He is D tier for sure for that. But Nakazawa didn't have something like that happen. The closest equivalent was the thing he did with Matt Sydal, which was not anywhere near on the same level. But he is hilarious, so he's at least above D tier for me. Okay, some more. Nyla Rose. Ooh, this is an interesting one. I think... I think I'm going to have to put a B tier. I'm just looking at some of the... I can't argue that she's on the same level as any of the A tiers. She was the other one that helped AEW get through the pandemic, the women's division, and she had a really good match against Hikaru Shida for when Shida handed over the belt, but she's also had some stinkers. Has also gone missing at times. Not her fault, obviously, but as I said, we're ranking things. I think she's a pretty solid lock for B tier. Okay, let's look at some more. Darius Martin, C tier. Dante Martin, B tier. Pushing. There's a boy that's pushing. Darius Martin, I mean, he could be up there, but he's been injured, so. Fuego del Sol. Look, I love him and Sammy's relationship. I loved him in his program with Miro was genuinely pretty awesome. Looking at the people in C tier, The only person in C tier that I'm like, oh, Fuego deserves to be on the same level as Stu Grayson. I'm happy with Fuego being in B tier. I think people love Fuego. I think people are gonna be mad if he's B tier. Matt Parker, Jeff Parker, and Matty Boy. What's Matt's last name? I've gone completely 2.0. They are B tier, locked in for B tier. Where's Matt? Goodness me. There we go, Matt Lee, B tier. I mean, they are hilarious, and they were a brilliant pickup for AEW. Brilliant pickup. Absolutely fantastic to have in the scene. And Daniel Garcia, their son can go straight next to them in B tier, as can Bobby Fish. He's someone I don't think anyone everyone expected him to be good. I don't think people expected him to be as good as he's been. Okay, we're getting down, locking down to it. Sting. Ooh, people aren't going to like it. I think we've S tier. No. The stuff with Team Taz early really, really pissed me off. I can't put him any lower than A tier. But, I mean, my A tier, that's pretty high level, right? The people who I've got in S tier are the EVPs, the best wrestler the highest performing wrestler, Jon Moxley, they've had so far. Brody Lee Jr., the person who was the one person holding the entire women's division together. Britt Baker, who's like the new cornerstone for that division. Punk and Danielson, who's, Sting's, the interest that Sting brought was not the same level that Punk and Danielson brought. And he has definitely not been operating on the same level as Danielson. And you wouldn't want him to be having matches like Danielson's having right now. Sting, A tier, could be higher. Like, if someone wanted him to be an S tier, I wouldn't worry too much. But he's A tier for me. That's pretty good. I mean, look at the people I've put in there. Leo Rush. Oh man, Leo Rush is a great signing. B tier. He has so much charisma. He could be something else. Orange Cassidy, so over. I would argue hasn't necessarily hit on the same level. I think he has to be A tier though. Man, Santana and Ortiz being B tier. I'm looking at that and just thinking, should I bump them up? They're in Blood and Guts. That's another one of the matches we're doing. They're in the fight, the street fight. No. Orange Cassidy was in the most incredible match, which reminds me, where's Pac? This is a match we're doing. This is going to be like the 4th or 5th match, I think, on the podcast. Pac and Orange Cassidy. Man, Pac is so good. Underrated promo. Incredible in the ring. Orange Cassidy, just so much charisma. Such incredible audience connection. So dialed into his character. Knows exactly how to get his character over and make it work. Those two together were absolutely liquid gold. Both of them, A tier. Lock them in. Okay. Scorpio Sky. Ooh. I think he's going to have to be B tier. Unfortunately. There was a time when I was very high on Scorpio Sky. And he could still, really push that upper tier. But I feel like, Darby Allin passed him by. Guevara passed him by. Kingston passed him by. Deeb passed him by. Jungle Boy passed him by. And some of it's through no fault of his own. But... And it's unfortunate, right? Because I think people like Scorpio Sky, don't they? And he's great in the ring and was, part of the original tag team champions. But, yeah, let's put him next. Where's Frankie? Frankie's at this level. They're not a tag team anymore, but they were. Let's put them next to each other. Okay. Getting down. Kip Sabian, C level. Some quick ones. Austin Gunn. Austin Gunn gets C level and Colton Gunn for how they clapped their asses off in the empty arena era. And no other reason. I don't like their heel turn with their dad. I don't like Same with Billy. Those three clapped their asses off to make sure there was atmosphere more than anyone else. Great. I see a bit. There's potential for Austin and Colton Gunn, of course. Billy Gunn can stay off the TV, really, unless he's managing those two. I don't want to see him doing singles matches or anything. There's other people. But, yeah, look. Okay, Dustin Rhodes. Ooh, okay. I'm comfortable with him being A tier. I'm very split on Dustin Rhodes. Could be B tier. Could be A tier. Could be S tier even. I'm going to lock him in A tier. I think, you know, in terms of the veterans that they've had, apart from Chris Jericho, I think it's fair to say Chris Jericho has done more for the company than Dustin Rhodes. But like the backstage stuff he does, the work he's put in, the matches he's had, you know, like some of the matches he's had, you know, the one with Danielson, the one with Cody. And that was a Dustin Rhodes match, as we'll talk about in one of the early matches that we're reviewing. It's not Cody versus Dustin that we're reviewing, but we touch on that match as by point of comparison. That was an incredible match that really was one of those other scene setters that the company had in that 2019 Double or Nothing 2019. I'm comfortable with him being A tier. Yep, I think the more I think about that, the happier I am about it. Christian Cage, I'm going to put him B tier. I don't think he's done enough to be up with these top guys. If I was going to put Christian Cage in there, I would have to put Riho in there. I'd have to put probably Ruby Soho in there, to be honest. I'd definitely have to put Proud and Powerful in there. I mean, he's been good. Don't get me wrong. He's very smart. He's a good wrestler. But I don't rank him on the same level I do these guys in AEW at least. And of course, I mean, if you took his entire career and tenure into consideration, like as a WWE performer, of course he'd be like probably A tier. He'd definitely be A tier. But this is just talking about AEW for the moment. Okay, Sonny Kiss, C tier. I wish they would do more with Sonny Kiss, and you know, like Excalibur, Jim Ross loves Sonny Kiss. Real athletic, great, but I can't rate there. Marco Stunt, C tier. I want to see him catch another match against Kenny Omega. Just their chemistry, hilarious. And Kenny Omega just hates him so much. Miro, definitely A tier. There'll be some people who put him in S tier. I'm not going to put him up. My S tier, that is select. That is mint only. But A tier for the moment. I mean, what more can you say about Miro? His run as the TNT champion was immense. Of course, like, the heart always loves the Brody Lee run because of what happened to Brody Lee. But to me, the two best runs are Darby's and Miro's. And Miro's was immense. Just the promos hit perfectly. He was so dialed into his character. And he continues to be. You know, like, you could plug him into that AEW World Championship division and no one would blink. No one would blink. Griff Garrison, C tier. He has a lot of potential. I think more than he gets credit for, really. He's a tall guy. He could be big when he gets older. Like, he has got a big frame that he could fill out. He could be, yeah. And he's rangy. The way he moves, I love the way he moves. It's different. And different is always good in wrestling. You know, he's got a lot to learn. But, you know, immense potential for Griff Garrison. I think more than most people give him credit for. Chris Statlander, B tier. I don't think she's hit the way that some people thought she might. I don't know. Yeah, the character doesn't always work for me, to be honest. But, you know, she's definitely delivered when it's been needed in most cases, barring the match with Nyla Rose at Revolution 2020. She's, you know, and was affected by injury negatively. You could make an argument to put her down in C tier, especially with someone like Brian Cage being there. No, Chris Statlander has deserves a B tier rating. I'm happy with that. Chris Jericho, okay, the first AEW champion. You know, his output hasn't been as great. I don't think he's a great face, to be honest. But for the work he did in the opening AEW Dynamites, he will never not be someone that AEW owes an immense debt of gratitude to. Chris Jericho, S tier. And anyone who says anything else just needs to revisit that and what he did. There's a chance like this promotion wouldn't have done what it has done if it wasn't for Chris Jericho. He was their first signing that was attractive to people who weren't already fans of the Elite. Of course, Mox came along later as like that other big name who had a lot of excitement around him and is, you know, in the prime of his years. But Jericho was that guy, that bridge for WWE fans to really stand on. Even more than Cody, he was that bridge, and he was a brilliant first champion for them. S tier. Fight me about it. Lance Archer. Oh, Lance Archer. I'm gonna have to go B tier. He's had some brilliant programs. He's also had some muddled programs. Like his stuff with Jon Moxley, chef's kiss. His initial matchup with Cody, so good. But apart from that, like I'm struggling to think of the things that he's done that have been really good. Yeeting Marco Stunt, that's definitely something. But not enough to put him up in A tier, especially with how good my A tier is. It like that's a protected region. It's a protected region, brother. The Butcher and the Blade, C tier. I've got a fat C tier. I think that speaks to how solid a lot of the acts in AEW are. Like, you know, these guys aren't actively failing. They're not doing anything to really ingratiate me to them at the moment. Butcher's got a fantastic look. I love that. I love how Butch looks. But Big Butch. But, you know, I don't think you can argue that, you know, they're above guys like Uno and Grayson or even Layla Hirsch. Happy with them in C tier. Happy to have them there. War Dog. He's going to go B tier for me. The teasing. He is a guy, doesn't have a lot of experience, but just gets how body language works in wrestling. In the lashings of Cody Rhodes, when he took the belt, just the way he just put his hand out, it said so much to me. Like, he didn't make a big deal of it. He just kind of looked at MJF and was just kind of gave him a bit of a nod and put his hand out. Everyone knew what it meant. Everyone knew that he was about to lay one in. And he didn't need to make a big deal of like that give me the belt thing. And it's just something as small as that so early in his career just speaks to how well he thinks about pro wrestling. And, you know, like the way him and MJF interact. Of course, anyone who interacts with MJF gets a great person to interact, a great person to kind of bounce off, but him in particular, you know, they've got immense potential. He has great potential and could go very far in this company. Chris Daniels. Ooh. The rest of SCU are in B tier, C tier. I would be heartless to put Chris Daniels in C tier. I would be heartless. Look, has he really? I mean, all of SCU, like they kind of came in on as their act was sort of almost ending the end of its life. It was certainly waning in its popularity as AEW began. But I mean, what Chris Daniels is one of the pillars of the indie of American indie wrestling and non-WWE wrestling in America for the last 20 years. He is a foundational aspect of it, and to put him anywhere else would be disrespectful to that. And the match that him and Frankie had against the Bucks was incredible. So he will be B tier. Malachi Black. I think he goes in A tier.
He hasn't done a lot. I'm just looking at the people I've got. I've got Adam Cole in A tier, right? You know, I'm going to put Malachi in B tier because he came on so well and he has so much. He gets wrestling so well. But like Archer, like Ruby Soho, Riho, it's not there all the way yet in AEW. And you saw that with the fact that, like, it hasn't, like, in the Cody Rhodes program, he lost that third match. And then he's on there talking about how it doesn't matter that he lost. That's not the kind of thing that AEW was built on. This is probably the one I'm most torn on right now. 3 months he'll be in A tier for sure. He could be S tier down the line. Okay, Lee Moriarty, C tier. Ricky Starks, B tier. Would love to put him more. He just hasn't been as active as he could have been. Would love to put him in A tier. Red Velvet. Another one with immense potential, like Big Swole. Exactly, very similar to Big Swole. I'm going to put a C tier because she's had a few hiccups, but looks like someone they can rely on in the future. But has had some hiccups lately. I'm looking forward to seeing where she ends up. Jade Cargill, speaking of Red Velvet, I'm going to put in B tier. She gets wrestling, like Wardlow. Just gets the mannerisms. It's not all there in the ring yet, but she gets the character part. She gets the storytelling part of it. Jamie Hayter. I'm going to put in B tier because when she has been in the ring so far, she has well and truly delivered. But she's... Yeah, and she did really well when she first was in AEW as well. So B tier. Happy with that. Colt Cabana. Boom, boom. C tier. Could be more. He's... like Christopher Daniels, really, but he has done less in AEW than Christopher Daniels, so C tier. He's definitely not D tier, but I struggle to put him in B tier for his work in AEW alone. Penelope Ford. I'm going to say C tier. Had some real highs. Match against Sheeta. Some of the stuff she's done with Statlander, but also, like, as I said, her partnership with the Bunny has just been drab. Real, like, what's their character? Why are they friends? Because they're both blonde and, like, that's not a character. That's not a reason you should just be friends with someone. Powerhouse Hobbs. This is one that straddles. You know, I'm going to put him in B tier for the mean mug alone. The way that he mugs the camera is incredible. I love that. Okay, yep, I'm happy with him in B tier. Lee Johnson, C tier. Immense future in the company potentially. Hasn't done a whole lot. Andrade, B tier. Did not hit early. Missed early. Has rectified that in incredible matches with Pac. Great program. Trending upwards. But B tier for the moment. Seidel, also B tier. Similar, almost. You know, he's another guy, almost like Frankie in that, you know, just can be just so well relied upon. Sean Dean, C tier. Sean Spears, underrated. I'm going to put him in B tier. Not, you know, obviously not the greatest wrestler in the world, but not the greatest wrestler in the world. But like Frankie, solid, and has performed really well in every role that he's been given. Particularly his work in the Blood and Guts match, I loved. And he's had a number of really good singles matches that I think have gone under the radar and underrated. I even like his match with Cody. I thought at All Out, I thought that was quite good and is not something some people talk about enough. So he gets B tier. Tay Conti, B tier. Real high potential for her. She is someone who could be champion someday. Thunder Rosa, A tier. Yep. definitely happy with that. The match against Britt, the match against Sheeta. She has a lot, like her and Britt, that's the rivalry that this division should be built around. Man, I'm having to zoom out a long way so that we can see the whole thing. And last but not least, Hangman Paige. Now, this is a question. Is he S tier yet? Is he S tier yet? He hasn't won the... I have really elite company in S tier. I've got Darby Allin in A tier. Has Adam Page done better than Darby Allin? That's like the comparison we need to talk about here for the last pick. Is he S tier? Is he A tier? What do you think? Tell me in the comments. This is probably the thing that could get my video disliked if I put him in A tier. I put Darby Allin in A tier. Like, you think about the stuff Darby Allin has done. TNT champion. His championship match against Moxley. His program against Cody Rhodes. But Adam Page, that match with Kenny Omega and the Bucks. The match with Kenny Omega. His long crawl, like this company has been, you could argue it's been built around the story of Adam Page becoming champion, and people love it. People love him. They're so invested in him. I have to put him in S tier. He's the one that's on the most on the edge of S tier, I think, because part of it is what he is going to be, but part of it is, you know, who he is right now. He is S tier. So, that's my ranking, my tier rankings for the AEW roster. Tell me what you think. I'm looking at it, I'm pretty happy with every single one of them. There are some that, as I said, are on the edge of where they've been ranked. There's some that could be higher, some that could be lower. I'm pretty happy with it, though. I am, yeah. The more I think about it, the more I'm solidified in what I've done here. And of course, as I said, I will announce the first match that we'll be covering on the AEW Match Guide Podcast that you can subscribe to on the podcast apps of your choice. Also, it will be appearing here on YouTube, on the Social Suplex YouTube, and I'll talk whether it'll be here or not on this channel. I'll be doing random things on this channel as well, like this. It's kind of fun stuff that you can engage with, that you can banter with. But the first one that will be released on the 12th of November, Friday the 12th of November, the Friday before Full Gear, will be Cody Rhodes versus Chris Jericho for the AEW Championship match that happened 2 years ago at Full Gear 2019. So we're turning back the clock to the anniversary of that match. I don't know if it's to the exact day, but it's the pay-per-view anniversary of that. And I'm talking to my good friend Ms. Fan from Wrestling Headlines and LOP Radio, and we'll be talking about that match on the 12th of November. Lots of interesting things to say about it. If you've listened to the trailer, you've heard Ms. Fans talk about how that is the quintessential Cody Rhodes performance, how it is his best performance ever, and we'll be talking about why. We'll be talking about why when that time comes, but until then, I will see you on the 12th. But please like and subscribe to this channel. Please like this video. Hit me up on Twitter, Sir_Samuel. I'd love to hear from you. What you thought of this tier ranking, this ranking of the roster. Do you think who should have been higher, who should have been lower? Please let me know. And until I reach you again, thank you very much for listening and watching. Bye.
Introducing the AEW Match Guide Podcast, a weekly deep dive into the greatest matches in AEW history. Coming on the 12th of November on the Social Suplex Podcast Network.
When I think of a Cody match, a definitive Cody match, this is the one I think of, and I think of it, I don't know if he'll ever give a greater performance than the one he gave in this match.
Obviously, we knew in this match would show people would live and die with Kenny Omega as a babyface, and he was still the best wrestler in the company by far. When you're a Kenny Omega fan, you learn what to kind of tune out and what to like actually pay attention to, and that fell under the tune out folder.
The way it is shot, it's all of the focus is on MJF. It's all intentional. This entire match, everything, the last hour of our lives was all about creating MJF the supervillain, and they did it. And it's beat for beat perfect.
Yeah. For you, this is the best match you're ever going to have in your life, and for me, it's just Wednesday.
Right.
Subscribe now and get it as soon as it drops.